Hi, I'm Debra Birnbaum with Gold Derby, and I'm here with Owen Cooper and Stephen Graham. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, congratulations. I sort of have to start with that. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just taking it on the stride. So yeah, I'm good.
Sweet, bit tired, but yeah, very good. Yeah, really good.
Could you ever have anticipated a success like this?
No, in all honesty, I don't think we ever, you can't quantify the impact that it seems to have had because it was made, it's a very kind of colloquial British little story in the heart of it. But I think the themes obviously resonate with, the consciousness worldwide. But when we were making it, we had no, we made it for what it was. We weren't making it for anything other than what we were making it for, if that makes any sense. It was made with love. It was made with truth, honesty, respect, all of those things. And it was an amazing creative achievement that we all did. And, the technical aspects, obviously, and the acting and everything and the writing and all that. So it was made with a lot of care and compassion. But for it to have the impact and for it to resonate the way it has is, yeah, it's sometimes it's overwhelming, but I think we're doing all right, aren't we, lad?
Yeah, doing good.
Owen, how have you felt the impact? How has your life changed?
My life's not changed that much. It's just everything's fine. Just been busy doing stuff. Back in London. I wrapped on Wuthering Heights yesterday, so that was good. And then I'm in school Monday, so it's back to normality after that. So yeah.
Are you getting recognized and stopped on the street?
No. It's not been too bad to be honest. I've had a few looks and that, but yeah, it's been fine.
Me and Anna went shopping at Tesco's and that got a bit tricky for
Oh,
most.
what happened?
Just in the respect of like you can't walk down an aisle now without everyone, stopping you and saying how amazing the show is, which is a wonderful thing. You know what I mean? It's why we made it. We made it to create conversation, and it's what it seems to have done.
It certainly has. I mean, Stephen, you obviously had an established career before, but I think this has broken through on a different level. So I'm sure you're seeing the reaction too.
Yeah, completely. Like I said, going to Tesco's then, and it's people's reaction and response has been unbelievable, which, like you say, was something that we never thought possible. But I think it's the quality and the content of what we made. Do you know what I mean?
What are people saying to you? What are some of the reactions you're getting?
Look, and I'll be really honest with you. There's been a lot of wonderful praise from peers. My peers in the industry and people who work in what we work in, which has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The biggest thing is kind of like parents who are saying thank you. I've a few friends who've said that. Friends of theirs have said please tell them thank you very much because as soon as it finished, I went into my son's room and we had a conversation, or I watched it with my son and we spoke for hours after it. And, I've really started to understand and learn to understand what difficulties they have today because they didn't have the same difficulties that we had. And it's just really created that conversation. So the biggest impact is when people are saying, thank you very much for what you've done, what you're a part of, because of the conversations that have been created from it. Do you know what I mean? Talking to family and getting back to that kind of connection.
Oh, and in these conversations you've had with friends, are these things that you're hearing from friends of yours?
Not really my friends, but someone said to me today, Stephen and Jack and Phil and everyone are they're saving lives, which felt quite special because it's true in some way because kids would go out and do that anyway. So and then what adolescence is just teaching kids not to do that, and then to know that it's saving lives, it's a bit it's crazy. So and not really been speaking to my friends about it that much, but they've definitely took some off it, and the parents have definitely took a lot from it.
Pretty powerful statement, Stephen. How does it feel for you to hear something like that?
It's above and beyond. Do you know what I mean? Look, it really is. And Hannah read something out to me a while ago. That's that right at the beginning when it kind of happened. That one of the critics had said this piece could possibly save lives, which is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, we made it with love and care, and it was the most joyous experience on a set I've ever had because of the collectiveness. Do you know what I mean? The collective consciousness, and everybody, there was no egos on our set at all. Everybody got on so well with each other. because it's kind of, you know, the philosophy and the ideology that we went at it with is you empower your crew and your cast, and you get the best out of everyone. Do you know what I mean? And of course, obviously, look, the subject matter, it was something that I wanted to shine a light on. And all we did was, I've never had so much joy on a set. Never. You know what I mean? It was amazing. And that kind of collectiveness that we all set out with the same objective, because it's that one take structure. You know, as soon as the whistle blows, we're all on the pitch, and we've got 60 minutes just under to get to the finish line. And we managed to achieve that, you know what I mean? And it was just a huge sense of camaraderie and togetherness from both, you know, actors and crew together. There was no differentiation. In our industry, there's very much a hierarchical structure that you're aware of, Deborah, do you know what I mean? And sometimes it can be pampered to a lot. But within the context of this, we were all on the same team together.
It's a pretty high bar you set for yourself with that one take structure, especially for Owen, who had never acted before. Owen, what did you know going into this? Did you know that that was something that they were going to ask of you?
Not when I got the part, no. Which I think if they would have told me that it was one shot, I think if they would have told me it was a one shot before, then I would have gone into it worried and scared. So the one shot was perfect. I really, really enjoyed doing it, and I definitely do it over and over again. But yeah, it was scary, but it was fun.
I think what was brilliant as well for Owen is the first episode we started with was episode 3.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
No, so how that kind of, look, Jack wrote the most beautiful script. Personally, for me, you know, as an actor, and I know Hannah feels exactly the same, as producers, you know, with Matriarch being involved with Warp as well, and Plan B, but to sit there as producers on set and watch this script and see how this beautiful script with all these complexities and, you know, the deconstruction of Jamie's head and the reasons to why he may be doing it, to watch that go from the page and to see the process of Owen and Phil working together, and Jack being there as well to work off and really fine tune the writing, and then you throw in the wonderful, the one and only Erin Doherty into that mix. You know what I mean? And to watch the three of them play in the complexities that they do, and to see it go from words, beautifully spoken words in the context of a play, may we say, do you know what I mean? Because
it is a play, it's very much.
Of course, and then to watch it really, to watch that come alive, and to watch Owen create and live that character and become Jamie through that process, and to watch Erin as well, do you know what I mean? And the two of them have like a game of tennis with each other. But it was the beauty of the script, you know. Look, none of these things are possible without a beautiful script, without great complexities of characters, and that's what Jack Thorne does, I believe. You know, I believe Jack Thorne writes the human condition brilliantly. But with respect to, you know, where we were involved in that with Hannah, especially, you know, Hannah Walters, one of our exec producers, with her in that respect, she really kind of guided and navigated, and we, you know, as a collective, we kind of molded it into what it was. And then to watch these two actors just go was just beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And to watch Owen take notes from Phil to pick up on little things and whisper little things to Owen, and, you know, talk about it completely together, and to just watch him grow and flourish in that the first thing we ever did was unbelievable. You knew he was talented, but then when we finished that, you were, wow, he's raised the level.
I mean, that's a master class for any actor, certainly, in the very least, an actor who was just starting out. What gave you the confidence that, well, I guess, Owen, let me start with you. What gave you the confidence that you could pull something like that off? What kind of notes were you given? What kind of direction were you given?
It wasn't really confidence. It was just comfortability, because the people that I had around me, Stephen was the first actor I met on set. So he introduced me to everyone. Everyone was so nice, and I just got comfortable really fast. So, and that's what, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have done it. So, and it was just them who made me feel safe and made me feel comfortable in that environment, because it's an environment that not a lot of people, like kids like my age, want to be in, because it's the subject matter and the intensity of doing that performance. it was quite challenging at first, but with the help of everyone around me, I couldn't have done it without them. So
And Stephen, for your part, what was it about Owen? I mean, we've seen his audition tape now. What was it about Owen that made you convinced that he could pull this off?
It's many things, to be honest with you, but it's just that complete and utter talent, pure talent. But talent is one thing; you have to harness it and turn it into action. Do you know what I mean? In that respect, and that's exactly what he did. His talent is, and I've said this before. Personally, I feel it's a generational talent that he has. Also, you know, and this can't be overlooked. He's a very intelligent young man. Do you know what I mean? He really is. He's bright as a button. He's sharp. He listens beautifully. He's constantly. He wants to be better. Do you know what I mean? He wants to learn. He's like a sponge, and he comes with this wonderful energy and this willingness to learn about the craft. And also what happens is because he's not affected in any way. So he doesn't overthink things or second guess things. He'll just be natural and really completely in the flow. But another thing which I have to really stress is his ability is second to none, because he's a million miles away from Jamie. Owen himself, the lad, the top lad, you know what I mean? He's a million miles away from Jamie. So he completely transforms. And like I said, his relationship with Phil is a fantastic director. Phil's a wonderful director. And Phil really kind of, you know, Phil's an actor's director because he used to be an actor. That's kind of why he went into directing. Yeah, he had an acting career for a while and it didn't quite work. And then, you know, he went and became a chef, and then he wanted to be a director. So he has that understanding of an actor's process, and he just, you know, he knows how to get you to a certain point with just the smallest of notes, doesn't he? When he gives you the smallest notes, and you just go there. Do you know what I mean? And he helps you achieve that. But that Owen's talent is second to none. I don't think I've ever seen a talent like it, to be honest with you, at such a young age.
One of the conversations that come up is again your age, to be able to have that kind of emotional depth at that age. You know, again, not to get ahead of ourselves, but you know, this is very much in the awards conversation. If you were to get nominated, would be, you know, among the youngest. What does that mean to you to be in the awards conversation at such a young age?
Well, if I was, I'm not saying it's confirmed, but if that was to be the case, it's definitely a massive achievement, and it's a next step in my life. I just take it and move on. It's one of them things that, like, it'll forever be there, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. And it's all rooted from Stephen, Phil, Hannah, Joe Johnson, the producer, and it's all from them. I couldn't have done it without them.
Talk about why you wanted it, Stephen, why you wanted to do everything in one take. Why was that so integral into the way you wanted the story to be told and how it came across?
We did a film called Boiling Point, which was a little British independent film, and it was all done in one shot. And again, that was an idea that, you know, Phil had. I think it was Phil and James, writer, and Matt, our DOP. We did a short first, but then we made the feature. And Plan B, Brad Pitt and thingy. Oh man, I forgot his name.
Jeremy Kleiner, Didi Garner.
Sorry. Brad and Jeremy had seen it and they really loved it. So they got in touch with Phil and said, look, we'd really like to do, we're going into television. We'd really love to do a one-shot kind of TV series with yourself and Stephen. Do you think Stephen would be interested? And we're thinking of maybe, you know, following a character, and maybe we could come up with something. So Phil put that proposal to me, and then I just went, no, I don't really fancy one character for 8 episodes, just about that. And then I went, but I think I know what it might be. And it just came to me, this idea about a young boy being arrested for killing a young girl. And I've mentioned this before, you know, it was all due to those kind of horrific incidents that I'd read and I'd seen on the news that really hurt my heart. And instantly, because, you know, I've worked with Jack for 20 years. He wrote This Is England with Shane Meadows, and I've worked with Jack for a long time. Throughout that process, we did a thing with Jodie Coleman called Help, which was a really heavy drama. Do you know what I mean? And I know that kind of sensibility. And like I said, to me, Jack is one of the finest writers of writing the human condition ever. And I knew I wanted Jack to write it because I knew Jack could pull it out of my head and come up with this most beautiful characters. So that was kind of how it happened. So we knew we were always going to be doing the one shot structure straight away. And then when it was explained to Jack, then the beauty of Jack's writing was to construct something which had a structure which we could follow in the one shot kind of sequence. And I think because that first one, as an audience, we find out and we realize what's happening the same way the family, the mum and the dad, realize what's happening. We're kind of gripped in that. Do you know what I mean? So then that was the kind of process, and that we knew that was the structure. And then it was about creating things that was intense, but also grab the audience and took them with you. And then especially episode 3, if you notice, you know, and as we know, it's all one shot, but it's the way the movement of the camera moves around. You know what I mean? And it's picking moments to stay on Owen while Erin is talking, which is something that very rarely happens. So we see what's going on within his head during the conversation. Do you know what I mean? There's a piece that Jack wrote as well, and he kind of said, I knew that the camera situation would work for this. When Owen's getting strip searched, and Jack kind of wrote, you know, we stay on Eddie's face throughout this process. And that's kind of brave in a way, but it's also, as an audience, we're living it through Eddie. We're what, you know, obviously, look, you have to be protective of Owen when in that situation. He was behind a curtain getting changed and everything. That was another thing. You have to think about the logistics. But you stay on Eddie so we can see Eddie feeling everything, what's happening, what's being described. So it was kind of, we always knew it was going to be a one-shot thing. And I knew we were going to do 4 episodes and kind of grabbing the audience and taking them on that ride with us, you know what I mean?
How many takes did those scenes end up being, those episodes end up being per episode?
Well,
so one was the second one.
The take you used was the second one, wasn't it, lad?
Yeah. And episode 3 was what, 11?
Episode 3 was number 11. Episode 2 was take 14. And episode 4 was take 16. So it was the very last take.
Did you have that feeling in the moment that, oh, this is the take that's going to work? What was it about that take that made you know that this was the one?
Owen thought that a different take was the best take for him, particularly on episode 3, didn't you, at one point?
Yeah, I think it was the 6th one I prefer.
He enjoyed the 6th one.
Yeah.
What was it about the 6th one?
I don't know. I just liked it, and I liked my performance in it. And if I don't like it, I'll just beat myself up about it. But episode 11, take 11, I mean, was a good one.
Take 11 was phenomenal, you know. And see, Deborah, this is the collaborative kind of elements we had to this piece. When it came to episode 2, Toby from Netflix, one of our exec producers at Netflix, and he had an idea about bringing, because the drone used to fly off and travel, and that was it. And Toby said, oh, and this was on the Wednesday. Now, we shoot till a Friday, and that's it. You only do 2 takes a day. This was on the Wednesday. And Toby said, oh, it's great. I love it. But can we not go back down to where the incident happened? And can we see Eddie just to kind of remarry the audience to why we're here? And we just spent the whole time trying to find out what happened. But can we remind the audience why this has happened? And to see that sight and to see Eddie's face, is there a way we could do that? And he told us that on a Wednesday. We had 2 days left to shoot. And it was like,
sure.
but you want the drone to fly up, go across, and then fly back down. And he's like, yeah, I think that might be great. We were like, and then that's where you have that wonderful ingenuity and creativity of our crew. Do you know what I mean? That's where Matt and all of his lads and girls, and we just make it happen. And every single person talks about that shot. They say, how did you get the camera to go up and then come back down? But see, that was a case of, and that's what I said in the very beginning. In this situation, there are no egos. The best idea works and wins because the best idea is the best idea for the piece. So it was coming from all different angles. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of this particular creative process.
As you look back, is there one moment that you're proudest of?
Everything, everything. It's like I've got 2 kids. You can't ask me which one's my favorite. Do you know what I mean? Because I love them both. Everything. I suppose no. But what's the most thing I'm proudest of? The most thing Stephen personally is proudest of. The fact that we've created this opportunity for that wonderful young man to go and have a proper career within this industry. That makes me so proud.
Oh, thank you.
And Owen, what about you?
Just to be a part of it was my favorite bit, and you know, spend my summer there. If I wasn't spending my summer there, I'd be roaming the streets with my mates. So to have that opportunity was just it was unbelievable, and I'm so proud to be along with it.